welcome to episode 185 of the Canadian Prepper Podcast. We're recording November 27th, 2022. My name is Jeff, and I am the voluntold host of the show tonight. I'm based in Central Ontario. I'm a target shooter, ham radio operator, general overall handyman, and weather nerd.
Hey everybody, I'm Brad. I'm in Eastern Ontario, part-time amateur prepper, constantly trying to better myself.
Tonight I'm drinking, oh wait, that's the other podcast. Let's try that again. Hey, I'm Al. As you can tell, I'm the first timer, so please be gentle. I am the better half of Pierre, whom you can usually find on here and sometimes the other CPP podcast on Monday nights. I absolutely adore anything nature and the secret she holds. Besides my green thumb, curious mind, and the love for nature, I am an avid hunter, hippie at heart, and someone that enjoys life's adventures with an open mind and the willingness to learn and share what I know.
And welcome. If you want to support the show and keep the Canadian Prepper Podcast on the air, buy some swag. We have both the Canadian Prepper Podcast t-shirt and the Tactical Velcro patch. You can get them both at www.prepperpodcast.ca. All proceeds help keep the lights on and the backup generator fueled.
And if you're enjoying the show, please take a few minutes and like us on Facebook and submit a review on iTunes. Also, we want your feedback, good, bad, or just a topic you want us to cover. You can email us at feedback@prepperpodcast.ca.
So we have some hippie hay content, and not the type of hippie hay you're thinking about, but we have some hippie hay content for you in this episode. We're going to start off with some recent news, update our personal preps, and then we'll get into the main topic, which is herbal remedies. So I'll start off with, looks like I'm the only one with a news article this week. So one of the large U.S. rail unions has rejected the contract proposal that was put forward by the government. Just for a bit of history, there's 12 unions involved in the railroad. 8 of them have accepted the proposal and 4 have rejected it. Unfortunately, one of the 4 that rejected it is conductors and those type of people. So, that represents conductors, brakemen, and yardmen. They rejected it barely. The vote was 50.87% to reject it. So, because of that, obviously they're going to have to go back and talk about or try to renegotiate something. The government felt they gave them a good deal. I guess they're on a bit of a sticking point with some sick days and whatever. I'm not sure how the U.S. works in terms of how Canada works with the government stepping in and just legislating them back to work. Considering everything that's going on with supply chains, and we've talked about it on other podcasts where especially like the Mississippi River's drying up and they're only able to run 60% load capacity on the barges and stuff, that any extended shutdown on the railroad would probably literally bring the U.S. to a gridlock. So
I had read this article before you put it in the notes, and 30% of all freight in the U.S., $2 billion a day in lost economic output if they strike.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's a huge number. And I mean, to be honest, it's not just the US. There's a lot of stuff on those rail cars that do come into Canada.
And to Mexico.
Exactly. Yep. So I can't see the government letting it go much longer than a couple of days. Let them make their point and then and legislate them back. They just can't take a chance of what it would do to the economy. And I mean, we're already struggling to get basic medication into stores. So I mean, it's just I have to see what happens. Let me go back and read it again. I think the earliest they can strike is the 8th or 9th of December. So basically you got 10 days and then we'll have to see what happens. So something to keep an eye on, and I'll keep an eye on it as well. So,
just basing off of strikes and supply chain and whatnot, I saw a post on Facebook that Freedom Convoy 2.0 is supposed to start in February or something. It was supposed to be a rolling blockade or something around the city or into the city, whatnot. Just rolling trucks. They don't plan on stopping, from what I understood. But it's only supposed to be like 8 or 9 days or something.
Yeah, I
to the 21st or something like that. I think I saw.
Yeah, could be. I wasn't sure the date. I seen the same thing. I don't know. My opinion, with what went down with the last one, I can't see the police and or the government, or considering it's the Liberals, I wouldn't even see them past having military assistance. I would just see them locking down the city and not letting anybody. If you don't live in the city or you don't have an address in the city, you're not getting in. I could see them just locking Ottawa down and nobody's getting in. So
don't got to go to work. Might still get paid for it.
So that's just my opinion. I mean, who knows?
Yeah,
nobody knows. It's too early, but yeah, I did hear that as well. So.
Yeah, it's about all I really got off of Facebook. I don't get onto Facebook a whole lot anymore, and I saw that pop up. So yeah, that's going to suck if they actually do it. But like you said, let's wait and see what happens, especially with the rail strike as well. Can you imagine if across Canada they did that in big cities, a rolling convoy again and a rail strike at the same time? $2 billion ain't nothing.
Yeah. Well, I was just kind of talking with somebody else, and they happened to mention, they said, if the convoy people were really serious about it and they really wanted to drive a hammer into things, don't go to Ottawa, go to 50 different border crossings and set up there and spread it around and move it around and watch the government go into full out panic mode.
Well, look at the Ambassador Bridge there. They had a huge problem there, and did they not get the RCMP or the CBSA in to start clearing stuff out? And there was a small blockade in Cornwall. It didn't last very long, but still, it happened. I do agree with you that if they were smart and did 50 or 60 major crossings, especially big truck crossings, that it's going to screw them up even more.
Like we say, we don't know what's happened. We're not, or at least I'm not advocating for that. But I mean, I think the government needs to get a hint that they're going in the wrong direction. And this isn't the podcast to get into the whole Bill C-21 and all of that stuff. That's a tomorrow night thing. But I think, I really hope that people really do wake up and the government suddenly realizes they've bit off way more than they can chew with that one. So, somebody made a post somewhere. They said if Trudeau was crapping his pants over a few thousand truckers in Ottawa, what's he going to do if 100,000 firearms owners show up? Yeah. So
you just have to leave your guns at home just to be safe.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, just don't bring toy gun, bring models, or ones made of wood or pink wood. Nobody's going to realize that's a real gun. Just to make a point that we all own guns, and this is how much we can do. But I don't advocate for the rolling blockades or anything either. But I do understand their point.
Yep, absolutely. Yep.
If you want to do it, go ahead and do it.
So let's move into what we've done lately for preps. So go ahead, Brad.
Well, lots of last-minute yard cleanup thanks to the beautiful weather this weekend. A little bit of fuel rotation, putting a plan in place to start working on the basement for some renos over the wintertime. get things moved around and cleaned up in the upstairs of our house here for Christmas decorations, and work, and slept a little bit. Had some supper at a friend's place, had a little girl's birthday party, and then tomorrow some more work.
Yeah. Well, you got 3 more days to get your Christmas stuff before you're allowed to put it up. My golden rule, nothing before December 1st. So I don't know about anybody else. That's my golden rule. No trees, you got to wait till December 1st. But hey, that's just me. So
no, I agree with you. If it's not December yet, nothing Christmas. I would happily pull everything down New Year's Day probably January 2nd after I recoup January 1st from New Year's Eve, and then tear everything out and put it back to normal and get ready for what's the next one? Easter?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe that I was in a store, and this was before the Canadian this was before Halloween.
Yeah.
Or was it Halloween or Thanksgiving? They're fairly close. Anyways, They already had Christmas stuff on the shelves.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, come on, really? But
buddy mine delivers for Dollarama. The company he works for has a contract for Dollarama. October 1st, he dropped off Christmas pallets.
So anyways, I bought I've been looking for one just to kind of mess around with, and I bought a used air fryer, got it for a steal, paid next to nothing for it. It's their family has grown and they just want something bigger. So I got it for next to nothing. I'm going to mess around with that. I did some more canning, just testing out and trying to get myself comfortable with the pressure canner before I have to start, or before I want to start doing more important things, I guess, like canning meat and stuff like that, making sure that I've got it down. I know what I'm doing, so that, I'm not scared that opening the jar 6 months later and eating it is going to kill me. So
yeah. It goes well though. You haven't had any accidents, no blow ups, no nothing.
Nope. Everything's working good so far. So
good.
So, you have anything, Mel, or?
Besides Brad and Pierre doing our camper and testing out our new cover that we got, I really didn't do anything except for our daughter's birthday prep. We were busy doing that. Unfortunately, in this house, we have a tradition of putting up the Christmas tree after our daughter's birthday. So we do have that up. No decorations. However, it is hunter themed, and Brad can contest to that one.
Yeah, very much hunter themed. It absolutely looks fantastic. If it's just the hunting stuff on it and the lights that she puts on and everything, it looks fantastic. You should really take a picture of that, Mel, and put it on the chat.
We will once I get, convince Pierre to actually pull up the bins for me. I'm kind of a gimp, so I can't do that on my own, but trees up. I may help with that today. But other than that, we haven't done any preps. So I guess we're just going to get prepared for Christmas, and then it's the birthday, and then it's all the wedding stuff from there. So hopefully, I don't know. We're having plans to be looking for a house and stuff like that. So anything big like what you're doing, Jeff, with the canning and stuff like that, we're going to try and hold off until we get somewhere, just because we can't take the temperature good in the house and all that stuff. So just main focus of, going through the old crap.
All right. Well, with that, we'll move on to the main topic, herbal remedies. So before I turn it over to Mel to have her little say there, again, just the old reminder to everybody, none of us are doctors. None of us are medical experts. We are not giving you medical advice. We're just kind of giving you ideas and directions and what things work. And remember, what works for one person may not work for somebody else. Do your homework, do your research before you start delving in, making sure that if you're on some other medication or prescriptions or something, that whatever you're looking at on the herbal side isn't going to interfere with that. If you've got a naturopath or somewhere in your town, maybe touch base with them and see what they have to say. So, that's just my thing for the caution for us. So, Mel, go ahead.
Take
Took
it
the
away.
words right out of my mouth. I was going to do the same whole little spiel. So what Jeff said. A lot of these stuff that I am going to talk about is stuff that I've actually putting tested and true it myself. I've done a lot of stuff before I even implemented with Pierre or even my daughter or even suggested to any of my friends. Right now I'm getting a lot of text messages on what kind of tea did you give my daughters, because everybody's coming to my house coughing. So I would like to start actually with that. Mullein. I annoy the people on the chat with the whole Mullein thing. I cannot tell you guys enough, and I'm so glad, Brad, you're happy that we put in an order, because now we're going to sell out. The one company I do recommend is actually Foothills Naturals. You can get them off of Amazon or actually their website directly, and they're based out of Alberta, so they're Canadian owned, which is actually a huge plus in my books, because I don't like to source anything too far away because I don't know what's in it. Mullein, besides being something that will actually help pull out the mucus and actually open up your airways, it does a lot of things too with the ear infections, and you can actually use it with your dogs too when they have that nasty yeast smelly buildup. It's like skin issues, all that stuff, but the one thing that I absolutely love with this is that the Mullein, it's I cannot explain how good this is. When you drink it, it's almost like taking, if anyone uses the puffers, I use the blue one too when I absolutely need it. But when you take that puff and your airways kind of open up, I find that this stuff kind of does it a lot faster, and you may sit there and hack up, but that's what you want to do. You want to push all that stuff out of your lungs. And another great thing with Mullein is that you can actually smoke it. So if you're trying to quit smoking cigarettes, this is actually a great aid for that as well. I can see that Brandon in the chat is asking, what is Mullein? Mullein is basically, it almost looks like lamb's ear. It's still soft, and it has long yellow flowers that grow up on the top of it. Believe it or not, Mullein is also known as cowboy toilet paper, and it's exactly what you think it is. It is something that you do want to learn to identify because you can wipe your butt with it. Okay. Inhaler. Okay, I'm following the chat. But anyways, but yeah, so if you have asthma and COPD, this stuff can be used for that as well, because it really soothes the bronchial side of things, and that's where I absolutely love the Mullein. You can use it as a tea. You can also turn it into a tincture as well. I haven't really touched into the tincture aspect, but the tea I can actually speak upon that it's just a nice little slight woody tea. But again, you can mix it with peppermint, which peppermint is actually really good, not only for your digestive to push everything through, but it also helps with mucus as well. Another great thing too with it, with the peppermint, since I mentioned the peppermint, it does a bunch of other stuff too. I use it for heartburn relief, but when it comes to, just give me a sec when I'm taking my looks. So yeah, it pulls out the phlegm as well. And I was reading earlier today when I was doing my notes, there's another herb called caraway, and that will actually push away more phlegm and mucus out of your lungs. So if you actually team that up with peppermint, it will double back and be kind of like a powerhouse. So that is actually on the list of my things to try, because I do have some sinusitis going with me, and it does help alleviate some of the things when I do team up Mullein with peppermint. So I can only imagine what it can do. Another thing that's great with peppermint tea is the fact that you can actually use it for oral hygiene. And when you get sick and stuff and you're lazy and you don't want to do anything, you don't want everything else to fall, because our teeth is actually attached to our heart. And the last thing you want to do is start messing with our heart, because it is our blood. And our blood's already messed with anyways when we're sick. So the last thing we want to do is mess up anything else that we have to focus on. So a great thing is, I don't even know where to go now. I'm so excited here. Yeah, peppermint too is actually, if you mix it in with eucalyptus and lavender oil, and then you use the coconut as a base, coconut oil, you can actually turn that into a homemade vapor rub. And I know some people voice concerns on I'm not mentioning the company name, but you know what I'm talking about. And when you use that, there's a lot of extra, whatever you want to call it, in there. So if you want to kind of keep it these are the ingredients, I do recommend at least doing coconut with eucalyptus and peppermint. And again, it's the same concept as what you get in those little jars at the grocery store. You legitimately lather it on and you just breathe it in. The reason why I like to pair it with the lavender is because the lavender is actually an anti-inflammatory. So as you're breathing that in, everything inside your body, believe it or not, does have a inflammatory, I guess, kind of component to it. So when you can alleviate all that and you can alleviate and soothe, you're able to breathe a lot, eat better, and it doesn't hurt as much or.
So Kyle's got a question there in the live chat. Says, can you add mullein to a diffuser?
I don't know, and I don't see why not. For the simple fact is, it's like this. Almost take like putting tea water into your diffuser. You're gonna breathe that in anyways. And if you do that, which I don't see that there would be an issue, because again, you're breathing in those water vapors. I would say team it up with a Himalayan salt lamp, because those themselves will actually purify your air. So it will absorb any impurities in the air, and it will, it just legitimately absorbs it into the actual salt, and then it kind of just purifies the air when it releases. It's kind of cool.
So with that salt lamp, Mel, can you leave that on all the time?
Yes, you can. And the thing is with those is that the bulbs, they don't run as hot as what you think they would. Pierre and I always get just the typical Christmas lights. I wouldn't do the LEDs because you do want a bit of that heat coming off, because that's what kind of activates the whole salt process. However, stating that, the only thing you want to watch out for is if you do use a Himalayan salt lamp, is that if it's too humid, you will get the sweat effect, and you'll see your lamp will start to crystallize on the bottom. There's nothing wrong with it. But I mean, you want to keep it looking kind of pretty.
And it's a sign that it's too wet in the room.
Exactly, which again could point you to other problems that you might be having, whether it's mold or something else that could be going on in your house too. So if you keep an eye out on that, and that could be what's feeding whatever persistent cough, cold, or whatever you're having.
Yeah. Now,
so it is a good indicator.
So if I leave that thing on all night and it's generating heat, do I need a CO detector with it?
No, Alan would be happy for that.
22 minutes and 10 seconds. Well done, Brad.
Next will be can openers. Just waiting.
Oh, I got that one covered.
Where else? Ooh, raw honey. I love to add raw honey as well. The smart thing when you do with raw honey, though, and a lot of people don't stop to think, is you want to try and keep your raw honey purchasing locally, because it will have those pollen allergies that someone could have, or the irritants around them, because the bees feed off of the local plants, right? So when they come back to the hive and they do their thing and create their honey, that goes with them. So when you actually ingest small amounts let me start to say, I believe when you ingest small amounts of things that you're potentially allergic to, eventually your body, like anything else, will start building some sort of a tolerance to it, right? So that is where I do recommend keeping your honey very local, because again, it's going to kind of trigger and attack what you need. But honey adds for that. Like, I cannot explain. Honey never goes bad, so you don't have to worry about it. Even if it looks like it's all crystally and stuff, it's still good. Yeah, exactly. And it's a natural cough syrup on its own, which is amazing, because again, it reduces the mucus secretion and the coughs itself, because it kind of gives you like kind of a coating going on there. You were gonna say something, Brad?
No,
I know you know some stuff about honey too.
Honey, they excavated in the Valley of the Kings, I think it was, in Egypt. There was honey. There's 5 jars of a liquid. They didn't know what it was. It still had an actual beeswax seal on it, buried for 4,000 years. They took it to a lab, opened it up. Nobody wanted to test it. They kind of figured it was honey. Nobody wanted to test it. Some lab assistant walked in, put his finger in the honey, scooped it out, and put it on his toast and walked away. Nothing happened to him. It's 4,000 years old. Mm-hmm. It was still perfectly preserved and perfectly fine to eat. The guy had like 15 different blood tests and MRIs and whatnot. They wanted to know if this was going to kill him or not. He's still walking around today.
It never got
keeps forever, again. People. Yeah. So.
Yeah, no, and like I said, besides just, I want to try and keep it to the cough and colds and stuff, but like honey is really good. You can do a huge research on it. Like It's a liver aid. It's great in antioxidants, a great source of energy. And actually, believe it or not, it's really good for pre and post workouts.
And the other thing it's good for, and you put it in there, is a wound or ulcer healer. My dad had surgery on his leg, and they put him in kind of one of those tight knee braces, and it wasn't set correctly, and it was putting a lot of pressure in it, and it actually caused an ulcer to start on his leg. And they gave him, they called it medicinal honey, but they gave him that because the other stuff wouldn't work. He ended up getting, I think it's MSRA or something like that. He ended up getting a bad infection in it, and honey was the only thing that cured it.
Nice.
Because the other stuff was antibiotic resistant. So, I mean, it took a long time for it to heal, but it finally healed.
Good.
Oh, it does its thing. It really does. And then if you're on TikTok or anything like I am, I'm an addict. Hi, I'm Al. You'd see there's this big thing now going on TikTok about onions. And you know what, to be quite honest, I've done the research and I already knew about this way before this was popular, but onions is another great thing. You can cut them up into little pieces and you can see them all over my house. It just helps absorb the air as well. You can actually make your own cough syrup from it. You can either chop them up, throw your raw local honey into it. And the other thing about the honey too, a really good honey is a buckwheat honey. There is a lot more of the good stuff. I'm not the good stuff in there. I'm really trying to watch my words because I don't want to get in trouble. Like, do your research. That's all I'm saying. A lot of the good stuff in the buckwheat honey versus just like a kind of like a regular type of honey. Brad knows I bug him every year for it, by the way.
I'll put the request in again.
But yeah, so mixing your onions, you can even throw garlic in that too. So you just get one of those, I don't even know what the jars are called, but you know, like the metal lids that you kind of like push down and it really seals. You can get one of those type of jars that has that metal flippy lid that makes that noise. Yeah, I don't know. Anyways, my descriptions are great. But anyways, you just chop up your onions really fine, and then as you irritate them, they release their ingredient and they do their job. And when you mix it with the honey and the garlic, you let it sit. You just take a little spoonful every day, and the honey and the garlic gets to work, right? Because not only does it absorb all the crap and it filters all the stuff, it helps the blood. It also, just helps with the inflammation, which also, again, if you have asthma or any type of illness or even, I guess, muscle type of problems.
I've heard stories of people like having colds and that, just taking like half a dozen onions, cutting them in half and just plopping them in different rooms around the house. Mm-hmm. And they say it works. I couldn't tell you, but.
And it does. It does matter what kind of onions that you do have. Like red onions is kind of like a quick way to state is like a red is kind of like immediate, where yellow is kind of maintaining. White are good to eat, in like salads or whatever. But even if you eat them raw, they still kind of help and do the same things. You don't necessarily need to go to the full extent, but the extra honey and garlic, and when you use their properties, it kind of helps along with all that. So. What else do we have here?
I'm learning new things.
You haven't learned enough yet?
You did sort of touch on lavender, but not really. If you want to maybe go a bit more into, I've heard a lot of good stuff about lavender.
Yeah, lavender, I personally use it a lot for the anti-inflammatory purposes because and the mood stabilizer and the sleep aid, because there was once upon a time that I did suffer from insomnia, and it was really brought on with the more pain I had. So what I would usually do is actually take a bath with baking soda, Epsom salts, a little bit of Himalayan, and I'd use lavender. And basically all it did for me was reduce the inflammation enough where I was able to relax and sleep. Lavender, I didn't really put too much in my notes, and I don't know why I didn't, because this is like a staple in my house. Lavender too, like outside of the aspect of helping the anti-inflammatory purposes and your sleep aid for when you're sick, it actually can be used in pair with tea tree oil to actually aid off head lice in kids' hair. And that has been my go-to for the last, how old's my daughter? And she's had outbreaks in her class and everything and has not gotten one stench of it. this thing, guys, if you're going to do research, I definitely would start with lavender and coconut, definitely.
Yeah, I've and again, I don't know much about it, but I've heard good stories of especially kids with like autism and stuff like that, where they have anxiety and stuff like that.
Yeah,
give them a lavender bath at night, and they're as calm as can be, and they go right to bed. And so,
yeah, it just because again, that's that mood stabilizing property that the lavender has, right? And especially with depending on what type of spectrum they are on the autism, or where that could be an issue where their mind is racing, or they're highly aggressive. Because I do know when I was going through my really bad mental health things for my accident, that was a thing, right? Like certain mental health, you do get aggressive and irritable and stuff like that. And the lavender would actually take me from up here to down here, and it would be quite quick. Like, just the way it would kind of interact with me. It's like that smell would hit my nose, and then all of a sudden it would register, and it'd be like, oh, well, that was cool. So I can see where that can help with the autism.
I remember when our daughter was younger, and she would get a bath, twice, 3 times a week, whatever. There were times if it was later at night and she was still very hyper, tell her we're going to go have a bath. Put some that lavender, baby oil stuff, bath time stuff, whatever into it. And you some of those nights, you put a little bit extra in there, and you get the whisk out and make sure that's really mixed in and nice, good hot water. And she came out of the bath, you dry her off, put her in PJs, and you would have to run down the hall to get her into bed before she passed out. It was pretty damn quick. But yeah. Yeah,
no. Lavender is really good. Like rosemary too is also really good too. Like if you do one of those steam bowls or whatever, like you put out really hot water, or you can even boil rosemary, lavender, and thyme in a pot and put your towel over, and you breathe it in. Like, you know what I mean?
Yep.
I don't know if it's specific, but
I've done that before for asthma.
Yeah, and like the rosemary will help with your breathing. So will the thyme, and so will the lavender, and it's all almost the same properties, right? Like it's anti-inflammatory, antibacterial, or antifungal. So again, depending on what you're sick with, that's what kind of herbs or teas or food stuff you want to look for, right? Like if you have a fungal thing going on with your body, you don't want to take something that's antimicrobial, or you know what I mean? Unless there's some sort of component to that. So that's one thing I do say, that when you are playing with these, the one thing you do want to make sure is that you kind of have an understanding of what's going on with your body, right? Because like I do have things in my notes where, if you do have candida or a type of co-yeast infection, it would help with that. It will alleviate all that stuff, The one thing I did want to talk before, sorry.
No, keep going.
I was going to go to lemon juice, because the fact that when you get sick, we all know vitamin C is like kind of like the key ingredient. And this thing will also help you absorb the iron. So, and that will help you with your blood. And that's huge when you're sick, right? Because you want to make sure you have that oxygen in your blood, because again, that helps your immune system, that pushes all the way through. The only thing is that when I did list other examples besides like lemon juice, I do have limes, oranges, peppers, berries, broccoli. The only thing is that if you do have a thyroid issue, is that you don't really want to touch anything in the broccoli family. And that actually stems from the, mustard. Oh, I was talking to you about this the other day too, Brad. I don't remember the name of it, but anyways, it's a form of mustard plant. And they just took it and they created Brussels sprouts, broccoli, cauliflower, and a few others from this plant. So you want to make sure that, because it does mess with the thyroid hormone. And the last thing, again, you want to do is add more problems to when you're sick. So it's good to know your bodies. No,
I don't remember that.
Got to stop pulling out the whiskey and scotch, eh?
Is Pure into your Glenlivet tonight?
No, it's downstairs hidden. And another good thing too is the chicken broth. So not only do you want to make sure you get your electrolytes into your body, and a good electrolyte combination, honestly, lemon juice, Himalayan salt and natural sugar, like monk fruit sugar. Or you can go even as simple as apple juice and Himalayan salt, just a pinch, and into your drink. Because when you're sick, you want to make sure you're hydrated. But at least with the chicken broth, you are getting some more nutrients than just, you know, the sugars that are basically in all that, right? Because when you break down lemon juice, yeah, you have all these beautiful compounds, you still got sugar. So you want to watch how much you ingest sugar while you're sick. And that we know that stuff, right? But like, yeah, the chicken broth helps repair the muscles, bones, skin. Sorry.
No, that's fine. The big crave right now is bone broth. So is that as good, better? What's your thoughts on?
Same thing. It's basically like I eat keto. Well, I kind of do a dirty keto, and it's the same thing. Like it's to help feed your muscles, your bones, and your skin and your blood cells. Like it's to give you that extra boost of like minerals and iron and like iron and what's the other thing I was thinking of here? I'm drawing a blank and I even have my notes in front of me, but just it basically boosts all like immune function all together, right? And just supports kind of like a healthy body, healthy thyroid, your hair, nails. So it kind of gives you that extra balance of anything that you're missing. Yeah. I don't know, like I'm still doing my research more so onto the broth and stuff like that, but I do know that I utilize it, like I said, for keto, and it's just to kind of help stabilize, you know, the potential proteins or minerals I may be missing, because again, our body is built up of a lot of compounds. Like we do have a limit of gold, believe it or not, and silver and copper and iron that we do need in our bodies. And when we're depleted of any of this, it throws our system off, and then it does affect our immune system, which I don't care what anybody says is part of your lymphatic system. So if you don't have your lymphatic system draining and moving correctly, you're going to fill your body full of that mucus. And once your body gets that mucus, this is where your problems will start to arise for anything.
That I can agree with.
So I know, and it's not in the notes, but I know a lot of people take a garlic supplement or use a lot of garlic in their food and stuff like that for, again, like for the blood and that kind of stuff. Is it a good idea? Is it a good thing?
I'm not going to disregard supplements altogether, but my personal feeling, I won't put that stuff in my body, because the simple fact is that I've been finding that my body itself will react to certain types of fillers that Western medicine or Western society, or however you want to put it, puts into their stuff. So I personally don't. But again, if you see that you have great results with certain supplements, all for it. If you're naturopath, your Chinese medicine doctor, or whomever you're seeing is saying that this is what you should be taking, you should be putting the trust into them. But again, like I don't. I personally like to take it right from either garden to whatever process it needs to me versus adding anything else.
So I don't know if you would know or not. Kyle is asking in the live chat, are there any herbs that are considered an expectorant? I think that means it helps you cough up the phlegm and all that stuff, right? Is that?
Oh yeah. If that's what the definition is, mullein will help do that. The peppermint will help do that. Like I said earlier, when I read it, the Carter Way will do it as well. Believe it or not, coconut oil will actually help with getting some of that out as well, because believe it or not, coconut oil tends to draw out all the toxins. So when you do coconut oil pulling in your mouth, when you swish it around, it draws all that nasty crap from the plaque, your cavities, all that stuff that's going on. And when you cough it all up, like you're coughing up all that crap in your mouth, and it will pull the stuff from your lungs, especially if you team it up with mint. It adds like an extra aid, because mint's really good for, like I said earlier, for the oral hygienic part of it. But so mullein will do the same thing. Sorry? So
like a peppermint, you can add that in and expect to get a good result?
Yeah, you can even, like I said, you can even brush your teeth, and then you can use your tea to swish around afterwards. And like Brad knows, I don't use the typical toothpaste that you will see in your grocery store. I order mine from Nelson's Naturals, and it's a clay base, so it actually feeds our teeth with back their minerals and nutrients that they need. We have seen cavities walk away. We've seen plaque disappear from our mouth from just using that and the oil pulling. And the peppermint is like kind of our quote unquote mouthwash, but it has no alcohol, no additives, none of that crap.
Yeah, Mel doesn't have the atypical drugstore stuff lined up on her bathroom counter. There's little homemade jars of stuff. Mel, you need to start labeling things. Or don't label them, because then anybody that goes into your bathroom is going to come out and be like, excuse me, what the heck is that? What the heck is that? And then you can go on your lecture of everything and educate other people too.
Yeah, well, like herbs, we're again, we kind of kept everything to like the cold and what you can get now. Like mullein is good, good to give to your kids as well. I give it to my daughter all the time, and you know what? Sometimes I even hide mullein peppermint into hot chocolate, and she thinks it's just a peppermint hot chocolate and enjoys it. I mean, I tell her that there's mullein in it. I don't not like that, but you don't taste it. I had a friend's kids come over and sleep over this weekend, and I did the same thing. And the daughter actually went to the mom and said, "Can I get more of that?" So I had a message from her today stating like, what did you do? What did you get? I thought I was going to get in trouble, even though she knew about it. But the kid said, like, I coughed everything up. I can breathe a lot easier, which I was kind of nervous about, because, again, in hot chocolate, there's, some sort of milk byproduct, which unfortunately feeds the phlegm, which you want to stay away from. But if a kid's going to take it, at this point, you're not going to fight with it. But herbs are amazing. Like, I take red clover to help with hormonal imbalance. What else? I drink dandelion tea for coffee substitute. So it's so much that it's unreal what you can do with food and just herbal supplements. Like Brad said, I have an arranged collection of everything from ginger tea, peppermint. I even have catnip. Catnips will actually be great for people with ADHD. It actually gives them focus. So, I mean.
Makes the cats go crazy, makes the humans calm down.
Yeah, and I was actually reading in one of my books too how it actually has that calming effect on dogs, although you have to give it in minute amounts. Because again, right, being on the prepper show that we are, if everything's shut down where you can't even walk into your local grocery store and steal or acquire, however you want to say, because the world's done, there's nobody's, money doesn't exist, there's no one there.
Obtain.
What else are you going to do? There you go, obtain. Skillfully acquired.
There you go. That's another one.
So, it's good to know. Like, I'm really excited that I hope we can get back on here with Jess, because, you guys don't know. Like, there's plants out there that can help stop blood while you're walking on your path, right? For bug bites. And like I said, mullein, if you find it wild, if you need to use toilet paper, you can use its leaves. Like, it's unbelievable what this can do.
Just don't keep the leaves to use in tea later.
I mean, if that's your thing, that's your thing. But I agree with
judging.
Brad. I wouldn't.
Not judging.
Oh. I see Kyle saying for mostly teas. No, there's tinctures and stuff. But like I said earlier, the reason why I'm sticking so much with the teas is to know what works for obviously our family and all that. But for right now, in the place that we do live, those are a lot easier for us to store and maintain and take care of versus getting into the tinctures and all that. Because once you get into tinctures, you can make the bath bombs, the bath soaks, like you name it. It opens up the world to it all. And I've experimented that with my medical cannabis as well. So like, you just need certain things, kind of like canning, right? If you're at a certain altitude, you need that little weight. And if you don't have that, you can mess up what's in your pot. Like, it is kind of a science. So yeah, I'm quite excited. It's been a great journey about all this stuff, and it does get a little less intimidating when you start dipping your hands into things and you start reading and getting the knowledge for yourself. Like these few products and items that I've talked about is just the beginning of everything. Just the surface of it all. Like it's unreal what you can find out there. Like echinacea, everybody hears of that. Like you can actually go and get that in a tea form. and all this stuff you can grow in your garden, and you can even grow it in your house and have a year's supply of this stuff that you don't run out, and you don't have to rely on the grocery stores or Amazon or wherever to get them to your door.
So speaking of Amazon,
Mm-hmm.
what kind of literature would you suggest being a good starter for somebody looking to get into this? Like I have that book called Herbal Remedies. I think, do you still have it or did you give it back?
No, I don't remember, but I know I just got myself one. But yes, I do remember your herbal book.
Yeah. I know you've looked through it more than I have. Would that be a good place to start, or what would you recommend for somebody?
That would be a good place to start. It would be another good resource. I mean, I'll probably get laughed at for this, but I actually read witch books, pagan type stuff, because a lot of that there is different types of witches and stuff, if you want to go that way. And within those books, they actually give you different knowledge on different stuff. I'm very spiritual, so not only do I like to learn the quote unquote municipal purposes of them, but there's also a spiritual aspect to everything. So a great book, you could get either The Green Witch or The House Witch by Erin Murphy Hiscock. Yes, you heard me right. You can find those on Chapters or Amazon, easy. There's another book that kind of is almost as similar as to what Brad was saying about his. It was, I just got this book. I kind of just took a glance at it, but this kind of looks like the holy grail of book. And I mean, like, it's thick. It's called Prescription for the Natural Healing. It's the 5th edition. It's a practical A to Z reference to drug-free remedies using vitamins, minerals, herbs, and food supplements. And that's by Phyllis A. Blatch, sorry. So you can. I found that one on Amazon. I couldn't find it when I looked through Chapters or Indigo, whatever their new company name is. But they're easy to acquire. Any of those simple little books. And the one thing I'm going to say is always double check your reference, if not triple check. Make sure you're pulling up a few references and making sure that there is some sort of synchronicity. Because the last thing you want to do is like, oh, this is great for this. And then you try and you're like, oh, well, now I'm in the bathroom for 3 hours.
Yeah,
which can still happen, though.
Especially if your body's not used to it until you develop that
coconut
tolerance.
Oil.
Yes,
because the coconut oil is a natural laxative, and let me tell you, doing that good old keto coffee, I learned that one by mistake.
Too much oil in the coffee?
Oh, it's great. Try it. Make sure it's a Saturday. But yeah, again, Google's, it's not a bad reference, but again, just check what you're reading on the website. A great person I love to follow, and I've followed him for a few years now, is Dr. Axe. You can find him on all the socials. You can go right to his site directly. If you're in the States, he kind of sells a little bit more products that I kind of wish he had here in Canada. But here in Canada, you can get the bone broth supplement. You can get the collagen stuff, which is amazing. Collagen feeds your body and your muscles and all the ligaments, and it's really good for the hair and skin and all that balance as well. Like, it's just giving your body the love it needs that you might be missing, type of thing.
Dr. Axe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I just popped the link into the.
I saw that. I've never heard of him before, but something definitely check it.
Yeah, years ago he popped up on my Facebook or whatever, and I kind of just started watching his things and did my own research on what he was saying and stuff, and just kind of also did a back research on him to kind of see who I was following, because I'm that type of person, and I just found that he's just all around, humble and genuine. Him and his wife, because I forget what his wife does, but she's into that natural, nutritional stuff as well. They kind of work really good as hand in hand. Like I don't know. Check him out. He's really good. But again, no matter what I recommend, I do recommend you guys to always double check your facts, and always, if you're experimenting with any of these, do one at a time. Make sure it's good with your body. Make sure you're having no allergic reactions or whatever. Because again, like Jeff said earlier, it could be your medicine, or it could be something you're eating or whatever. The last thing you want to do is, again, hinder yourself, especially in a situation where it could be a life or death type of thing. So again, do your research, right?
So one thing to note. I know Jeff and Melissa, you both said it earlier, to check with your doctor, check with your, look at your prescriptions and whatnot, but go one step further, go to your pharmacist. All he deals with is drugs and interactions and dosages and alternatives and all of that. Have you ever seen a pharmacist's drug book? They're probably about 5 to 6 inches thick. They get one every 2 years, if not sooner. They're about $1,000. My mom worked at a pharmacy years ago, and the pharmacist was mad that the publisher came out with a new edition 6 or 8 months after he just bought the newer, old new edition, whatever it was, and he had to shell out another $1,000 to get a brand new one. And it was probably 4 or 5 inches thick, and that was, I want to say 15 to 20 years ago now. So just imagine how much those cost now.
Yeah, well, and you're 100% right, Brad, because, again, I go back to my dad's story. So his doctor was unavailable for, I don't know, whatever reason, for something. And so they referred him to another doctor. He went in there, seen the doctor. Doctor gave him a prescription. He took that prescription to the drugstore. When he went to pick it up, the pharmacist said, "Who gave you this?" And he's like, "Well, I went to this doctor and my doctor wasn't available and I went over here." And he goes, and the pharmacist says, "You're already taking this. You can't take this with this or you're going to end up in the hospital."
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was, and
I had no idea. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say the doctor obviously wasn't paying attention or didn't even look at the history of what he was already on. Just, "Oh, well, here you can have this," and away you go. And
so I have a sensitivity to a certain type of medications. And I screwed up my ankle years ago. And it was about a year or so later, and I was having some more problems with my ankle, and it was getting like inflamed. Well, not inflamed, but just bigger. It kind of looked like I was retaining water, but just in my ankle. But it turns out I had nicked a nerve or something there, and it was starting to balloon out a little bit. And I went to the doctor. I went to a walk-in clinic. Of course, they don't have access to my entire file. And the doctor prescribed me naproxen. Well, naproxen is in that family of medications that I'm sensitive to, and I had no idea of that. And neither did the pharmacist. I went and filled a prescription, took the 2 naproxens, took a Tylenol, took a shot of whiskey, and passed out. I got up 6 hours later, just hives all over. Went back to the pharmacist. "Okay, what the heck gave me this?" He asked me a couple of pointed questions, and we figured out that, yes, I do have a sensitivity to a family of naproxen, what it's derived from. I told my mom that afterwards, and she was the one who had worked at the pharmacy. She's not a pharmacist or a medical professional, but just a worker in the drugstore, filling this bottle, filling that bottle, doing this, doing that, helping people to cash, doing a whole bunch of things. And she learned a lot. And that was one of the things that she told me. I'll always remember it is, if you have a question about something the doctor gave to you, don't ask the doctor. Ask the pharmacist, because all he deals with is drugs all day long.
yeah.
And the one thing, I was going to add, for when you actually have when you get itchy from an allergic reaction, you can actually put baking soda on it or tea tree. Trust me, I've been well acquainted with that this week around. And look at my nose. It says it in my notes. Will also help with sunburns.
Yes.
You can even add it into your bath too. Baking soda will actually balance the pH level for chlorine as well in your water. So baking soda is another really good one. It's antifungal, antibacterial. It actually will help with toe fungus as well. Same with apple cider vinegar. Mm-hmm.
Well, I wish I would have known that a few months ago, because I got a pretty bad case of the shingles, and I was just looking for anything and everything to try and get rid of the itch and get rid of the pain. And yeah, that would have been great if it works for that, which I would think it does. But
I would think so too, because I like to tan, and for some reason I've had some sort of reaction to the tanning, and I don't know why it came into my head one day, or the other day, but I'm like, I'm gonna put some baking soda on one arm and tea tree on the other and try it out. The baking soda took a little bit longer than the tea tree, but when I woke up in the morning, the baking soda side of my right arm was actually, all the bumps and stuff are gone a lot more than what it was on the tea tree side. And I can understand why it would do that, for the fact that it does help balance the pH of our skin. So it does make sense.
I just read that comment, Jeff, of what will help with the case of the Ians, and I agree with your response there. Nothing.
Or a good hearty glass of Glenlivet.
Yeah, that could do it too.
Glenlivet solves everything. Trust me.
Mm-hmm.
No, I'm kidding. Don't do that.
Anything else, Mel? Any that we haven't covered that you'd like to get out there, or?
Not so much for this, because I mean, when you start talking about all this stuff, it kind of gets overwhelming with everything. So I mean, if you take anything out of this, mullein, coconut oil. Oh, geez, Pierre. Mullein, coconut oil, and peppermint will be your best friend. Because with the coconut oil, you can use any essential oil, because you need a carrier when you use essential oil, or you could end up burning your skin. So if you're doing the vapor rub, the coconut oil is really good. And if all you have is that peppermint oil, it will still open up your lungs. And the mullein too will push everything out and clean everything out as well. Like it's those three are kind of the combo you want to keep in your household. And onions, I mean, very odd people don't have onions. If you're allergic to onions, keep the garlic, because you can actually take our garlic and mash it up into a paste and throw it on the bottoms of your feet. You can use potatoes. I think it's more the rusted potatoes works the best. The brown ones, not the yellow, not the red, the brown ones. You can cut it and put them at the bottom of your feet as well, and it'll pull out a fever, like original Listerine. If you got a sunburn or fever, you can use that to pull out the actual heat component of that body, like that fever. The original Listerine will actually pull it out. Tested and true. I'm telling you, I've done it myself. Again, another tanning incident. But like those things that, like, with fever, I recommend again the potato, the Listerine. For that type of thing. Sore throats, I do know that I saw on your note, Jeff, the one you can use for that is ginger. Like, just, I guess, kind of go through this podcast and kind of take the notes. I know I've been all over the place. If you got anything, you can always message me too, and I will lead you in the right direction of where to gander your information.
Yeah, I like you say that, and for everybody out there, this is just kind of a quick glance over, kind of give us something to start with. The plan is to have Mel back with Greg's wife, Greg, who's another panelist who's not here. Thank God, we didn't want to talk about guns all night. That they're gonna get together and hopefully do another podcast and delve a little bit deeper into some other herbal remedies and stuff. So stay tuned on that. And I guess if you don't have anything else, we'll move into the podcast challenge.
Yeah, so no, I'm good.
The podcast challenge is do your research. We've said that. Mel said that. I said that. Do your research and see if there's herbal remedies that may be helpful for you.
Yeah.
Upcoming events. We don't have anything upcoming right now. Of course, if you really want to, Christmas is coming in 5 weeks, but hey, I didn't go there. I didn't do it. So I'll jump into my weather blurb. Just things there's not been a lot going on lately. That's going to change a little bit. There is a good potential for a potent storm to hit the south central U.S., probably starting on Tuesday. The parameters for this storm are very similar to the tornado outbreak storm from December of last year. Doesn't mean it's going to happen. Doesn't mean, there's going to be this big outbreak, but the parameters are going to be there. All of the stuff needed for the generation of severe storms and tornadoes are going to be there. So,
what you're saying, what you're saying is we should be as we are and prepare for the worst.
Absolutely. Hope for the best, prepare for the worst, and don't be scared. Be prepared. I did throw a link in the show notes there, a YouTube video of a guy I follow pretty close, Ryan Hall, y'all, and he kind of talks about it. So keep an eye on that. I mean, it's that time of year. You never know when the snow and that's going to hit. So move into the deal of the week. We don't have anything specific, but considering that the time of year it is, there are thousands, probably hundreds of Black Friday, Cyber Monday deals out there. If you're looking for something specific, chances are if you look hard enough, you're going to find a good deal for it. So,
well, I do know that there is that one good deal at Canadian Tire for all those jars, since we're on the conversation of those loose leaves. By the way, Brad, I need 2 more. But how much were they?
$10. Sorry,
yeah,
$9. I think they're $8.99.
And they are glass jars. They kind of like go up in size, and they seal their lid, so you can, if you order any of these loose leaf, you can throw them in there and tie them. They're originally like what, almost like $40, aren't they?
$30 down to $8.99. So I guess it's $29.99 or something like that, down to $8.99. When I picked up our 2 sets in Cornwall, I asked the guy to scan the barcode and tell me how many more they had in stock. They have 99 boxes in stock.
Wow. Okay, well, I'll have to look that up and
see really good deals.
That's something I'm interested in. Yeah. Shout outs. So I'll put the first shout out there to Mel for coming on for was a bit of short notice, kind of had to throw things together, but it was a great preview of how herbal remedies can be beneficial to your overall health, considering everything that's going on, the shortages of all of the medications and everything else out there. If you can find a way to not have to, or to alleviate that being adding on to all of your other issues, you're going to be better off for it. So thanks for coming in, Mel, and it was a great episode.
Oh, thank you.
Definitely. I even learned something. We've known each other, 4 years now, off and on, and whatnot. And you and I have had good conversations about a lot of this stuff, and some of the stuff you touched on today, I didn't know about, and I'm glad you put it in the show notes so I can look back on it later without bugging you.
Yeah, I'm always here to help.
Definitely. And I definitely agree with you that we need to get Jess on here. The two of you need to sit down, either Zoom or whatever, to coordinate an effort to put a better, not a better show, but another more in-depth show together later. I know that they're busy in the US and they've got their own stuff going on, but I definitely think it'd be a good idea that you guys collaborate on another show, and hopefully we can get some more information out there to get some more people prepared and stocked up and whatnot. And
well, what I truly love about that idea too is that she has a complete different living thing. Like, obviously she has some of the same things we have, but there's probably stuff out there that we don't have here where we are. So I like that, right? So yeah, I know I'm excited about that too. I think we're gonna nail it. But unfortunately, we like these type of podcasts talking about this stuff can go on for more than an hour sometimes, depending on how in depth it is. So be prepared that you guys may have to sit there for a little bit longer.
Perfectly fine.
Maybe we'll raffle off a shirt or something from Off the Wall Customizing for people sitting there. I'll start bribing people. We'll get more views.
All right. Well, with all that being said, I am going to bring episode 185 of the Canadian Prepper Podcast to an end. You can find the podcast on iTunes, Podbean, Spotify, or your favorite podcast app. Please help us out. Submit a review. It helps other people find us.
We record these shows live on Facebook and on YouTube. If you want an early peek at the show, please subscribe to the YouTube channel, Canadian Prepper Podcast, and click the notifications tab. It gives you an alert when we're going live. And you can contact me at batbradcpp@gmail.com.
You can reach me if you wish at offthewallcustomizing@gmail.com. You can also find us on the good old Tickety Talk. We're working on the Facebook, our own website, Discord, CPP, and anywhere else.
And please check out Rapid Survival at rapidsurvival.com. And you can get Eric there on the live chat, considering he abandoned us tonight, didn't want to bother being here. If you want, you can email me at the feedback at prepperpodcast.ca, or I am frequently on the Discord app. So thanks for joining us. Until next time, be prepared, stay safe,
and keep learning.